These people can't even get a simple order right. The plate flies across the dining room. It shatters against the wall 6 inches from her head. Marinara sauce explodes across her white uniform. Ceramic shards scatter at her feet. Do you have any idea how much the Morrisons spend here every month? $20,000. And you make them wait like common trash? The young black woman stands frozen. Sauce drips down her cheek. I'm so sorry, Mr. Caldwell. The kitchen was backed up. I can... Sorry? You're always sorry. That's all your kind knows how to say. He kicks a piece of broken plate toward her feet. Pick it up. Now. She bends down slowly. Her hands shake, but she doesn't cry. Around them, wealthy diners stare. Some pull out phones. Others keep eating. In the corner booth, a man in an expensive suit watches. His knuckles are white around his napkin. Have you ever watched someone destroy a person's dignity and wondered what you would do? 6:30 in the morning, 30 in an apartment in the city's business district. Sunlight streams through floor-to-ceiling windows. Elena Washington opens her eyes. She reaches across the bed. Her husband Derek is already awake, sitting on the edge, checking his phone. Big day? She asks. He turns to her, smiles. The Meridian board meeting is this afternoon. 3 months of work comes down to today. She sits up. Nervous? No. He sets down his phone. I'm certain. The data doesn't lie. On his nightstand sits a leather portfolio. Embossed letters read, Washington Capital Management. Through the open door of his home office, she can see framed business awards on the wall. A Forbes magazine cover, his face on it. But Elena knows something the magazine readers don't. 3 months ago, Derek sat in his downtown office, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the financial district, his investment team around the conference table. Meridian Hospitality Group, his CFO had said. 47 restaurants across 12 states. Revenue up 18% year over year. They're asking for $85 million. Derek had leaned back in his chair. What do we know about their culture? Clean HR records, no major lawsuits, standard corporate policies. That's what they want us to see. Derek stood, walked to the window. I want to know what they don't show investors. How do they treat their dishwashers, their servers, the people making minimum wage? His team exchanged glances. We can hire a consulting firm, someone suggested. No. Derek turned around. Consultants talk to management. Management lies. I need someone on the inside, someone who'll see the truth. That night, he came home to Elena. She was reading on the couch. MBA textbooks stacked beside her. She'd spent 5 years as an HR consultant, specialized in workplace culture assessments. She knew how to spot the cracks in a company's foundation. I have a proposition, Derek said. Now, 3 months later, Elena stands in their bathroom. She ties her hair back, looks at herself in the mirror. The uniform hangs in the closet behind her. White shirt, black pants, black apron. She's worn it for 93 days. Derek appears in the doorway. You've gathered enough evidence. You can quit today. Not yet. She reaches for her toothbrush. I need to see how far this goes. Elena, the workers there have no protection, Derek. Miguel has 3 kids. Jennifer's paying off medical debt. They can't just leave. She meets his eyes in the mirror. I can, but they can't. So I stay until we have everything we need. He's quiet for a moment. Then, I'm coming to the restaurant tonight. What? No. It's our anniversary, 2 years. I want to see you. He steps closer. I'll sit in the corner. Just want to watch my wife work, even if she is undercover. Elena turns to face him. Derek, if Richard sees you, he won't recognize me. I was there once, 3 months ago, late at night. Different clothes, different table. And men like Richard don't look at black customers long enough to remember their faces. Belmont's fine dining sits in the heart of the downtown district, established 1984. The sign outside is polished brass. The awning is hunter green. Valets in white gloves park luxury cars. Inside, everything gleams. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, white tablecloths starched to perfection, oil paintings of the European countryside on dark wood walls. The clientele matches the decor. Older, wealthy, 90% white. Richard Caldwell has been general manager for 15 years. He stands at the host stand every evening, greets regular customers by name. Remember their favorite tables, their wine preferences, their anniversaries. He runs Belmont's like his personal kingdom. Elena arrives at 10:45, 15 minutes early. She always is. She goes straight to the staff room, changes into her uniform, checks her apron pocket. The recording device is there, smaller than a lipstick tube. She's worn it every single shift for 3 months. 93 days of documentation. 47 recorded incidents of discriminatory language. 23 labor law violations. Interviews with 12 current and former employees. All with the same stories. All afraid to speak up. She clips on her name tag, takes a breath. In 6 hours, her husband will walk through those doors. In 6 hours, 3 months of careful planning will reach its breaking point. Elena doesn't know it yet, but tonight, Richard Caldwell will make his final mistake. And this time, someone with power will be watching. 6:45 in the evening. The dining room is packed. Every table is full. Servers move quickly between the kitchen and the floor. Elena balances 3 plates on her left arm, 2 more in her right hand. She delivers them to table 7 without a single wobble. The couple thanks her. She smiles, refills their water, moves to the next table. Richard stands near the bar, watching, always watching. He sees her laugh at something a customer says. His jaw tightens. Across the room, Derek Washington walks through the front door. The host greets him. Derek requests a corner booth. Table 19, partially hidden by a decorative column. Perfect view of the entire dining room. He sits, orders sparkling water, pretends to read the menu, but his eyes track Elena's every movement. Table 12 is a problem waiting to happen. Harold and Patricia Morrison, late 60s, old money. They've been coming to Belmont's twice a month for 12 years. They know Richard personally, play golf with him on Sundays. Patricia wears diamonds that catch the light. Harold's watch costs more than Elena makes in a year. Elena approaches their table, pen ready, smile professional. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. Morrison. Can I start you with drinks? Patricia doesn't look up from her menu. We'll have the usual, and Harold wants his steak medium rare, not medium, not rare. Medium rare. Do you understand? Of course, ma'am. I'll make sure the kitchen... Last time it was overcooked. Tell them to pay attention. Elena writes it down. Absolutely. I'll put your order in right away. She goes to the computer terminal, enters their drinks, their appetizers, the steaks with detailed cooking instructions. Timestamp, 6:52 p.m. The kitchen is slammed. A party of 20 came in at 6. Every station is backed up. The head chef Miguel shouts orders in Spanish and English. Steam rises from sauté pans. Tickets print continuously. Elena delivers the Morrisons' drinks, their appetizers. Everything is perfect. Everything on time. But the kitchen is still drowning. 7:15. Patricia Morrison looks at her watch, looks around for Elena. Elena approaches. Your entrees should be out in just a few more minutes. The kitchen is running about 10 minutes behind due to a large party. 10 minutes? Patricia's voice rises. We have theater tickets at 8. I understand, ma'am. I'll check with the chef right away. And I'd be happy to offer you a complimentary glass of wine while you wait. We don't want wine. We want our food. Harold leans back in his chair. Is this really how Belmont's operates now? Elena keeps her voice calm, professional. I sincerely apologize for the delay. I entered your order the moment I took it. Let me go check on the status. She walks quickly to the kitchen. Miguel is plating 3 dishes at once. Chef, table 12 is asking about their steaks. 3 minutes, I promise, 3 minutes. Elena returns to the Morrisons. The chef personally assured me 3 minutes, Mrs. Morrison. Patricia's lips press into a thin line. Across the room, Richard notices the conversation. He starts walking toward table 12. 7:18. Miguel sends up the steaks, both cooked to perfection. Medium rare, pink center, proper sear. He checks them himself before they leave the kitchen. Elena delivers them with fresh ground pepper, extra steak sauce on the side. Bon appetit? She turns to leave. Wait. Harold cuts into his steak. The knife slides through easily. He spreads the meat open. Perfect pink center, exactly medium rare. He takes one bite. This is overcooked. Elena's stomach drops. Sir, the chef checked it personally. Are you telling me I don't know how my own steak should taste? No, sir, not at all. If you'd like, I can have the kitchen. I want to speak to Richard. Richard is already there. He must have been watching, waiting for this exact moment. Is there a problem, Harold? Harold points at his plate. This steak is overcooked. I specifically said medium rare. Richard doesn't even look at the meat. He looks at Elena. Did you put the order in correctly? Yes, sir. I have the timestamp, 6:52, and I wrote detailed cooking instructions. Clearly not detailed enough. Richard picks up the plate. Examine it like evidence in a trial. Harold and Patricia are our most valued customers. They spend more in a month than you make in a year, and you can't even get a simple steak right? Other diners are starting to watch. Sir, I can show you the ticket. The chef can confirm. I don't care what the chef says. Richard's voice gets louder. I care about our guests' experience, which you have completely ruined. Elena feels heat rising to her face. I'm very sorry. Let me take this back and... You know what your problem is? Richard steps closer, close enough that she can smell his cologne. People like you think you can just walk in here and do whatever you want. No attention to detail, no respect for excellence. In the corner, Derek's hand tightens around his water glass. I take full responsibility, Elena says quietly. Let me make this right. Too late. Richard turns to the Morrisons. Your entire meal is complimentary tonight. I apologize for this incompetence. He turns back to Elena. Take this back to the kitchen. She reaches for the plate. Richard pulls it away. Actually, you know what? Let me show you what happens when you disrespect my customers. He's holding the plate in both hands now. Steak, mashed potatoes, asparagus, béarnaise sauce pooling on expensive porcelain. Elena's recording device is running. She can feel its weight in her apron pocket. Mr. Caldwell, please, I can... He throws it. The plate spins through the air, tumbles end over end. Sauce trails behind it like a comet. It explodes against the wall, 6 inches from Elena's head, close enough that she feels the air move, close enough that if she'd been standing 1 step to the left, it would have hit her. The dining room goes silent. Marinara from the sauce mixes with béarnaise. Red and yellow splatter across white wall, across Elena's shoulder, across her face. Shards of broken plate scatter across the floor. That, Richard says loudly, is what happens when you hire people who don't belong here. Elena stands completely still. Sauce drips from her chin. Her uniform is ruined, but she doesn't wipe it away. Doesn't move. Pick it up, Richard says. His voice was sharp as the broken ceramic. Pick up your mess. She bends down slowly. Her hands shake. She reaches for a large piece of plate. Richard kicks it away from her fingers. All of it. Every piece. The recording device captures everything. Every word, every sound, every witness. Around the dining room, reactions split. Some diners look uncomfortable, look away, return to their meals. Others nod in agreement. One man near the window actually claps once. Several pull out phones, Start recording. The staff stands frozen. Jennifer, the server, watches from the bar. Does nothing. Miguel peers through the kitchen window, his face twisted in helpless anger. No one moves to help. No one speaks up. Except one person. In the corner booth, Derek Washington sits perfectly still. His phone is out, recording from a different angle. His face shows nothing, but his eyes are burning. He watches Elena kneel on the floor, watches her gather broken pieces with shaking hands, watches sauce drip from her hair onto the polished hardwood. He watches Richard stand over her like a king surveying conquered territory. Every muscle in Derek's body screams to stand up, to cross the room, to put himself between his wife and this man. But Elena taught him the plan. Document everything. Let them reveal who they truly are. Build the case brick by brick. So he sits, and he records, and he burns the image into his memory. Patricia Morrison leans toward her husband, whispers something. They both nod. "Richard," Harold calls out, "don't be too hard on her. Everyone makes mistakes." Richard turns, smiles at them. "You're too kind, Harold, but standards are standards." He looks back down at Elena. She's placed the broken pieces on a serving tray. Her hands are cut. Small lines of blood mix with the sauce. "Now get out," Richard says. "You're fired. Clean out your locker and leave my restaurant." Elena stands slowly, picks up the tray, looks directly at Richard. "I apologize for any inconvenience, Mr. Caldwell." Her voice is steady, too steady. Richard's eyes narrow. "What are you smiling about?" Elena isn't smiling, but there's something in her expression, something calm, something knowing. "Nothing, sir. Have a good evening." She walks toward the kitchen. Sauce drips behind her. Every eye in the dining room follows her path. Derek watches her disappear through the swinging door. He sets down his phone, places cash on the table, enough to cover his untouched water 3 times over. Then he stands and walks out. Behind him, Richard addresses the dining room. "Ladies and gentlemen, I sincerely apologize for that disruption. Your meals tonight are complimentary. At Belmont's, we maintain standards of excellence, and when those standards aren't met, we take immediate action." Scattered applause. Richard smiles. He has no idea what's coming. The staff locker room smells like bleach and old coffee. Fluorescent lights hum overhead. Elena stands at her locker. Sauce still stains her uniform. Her hands have stopped shaking. She pulls the recording device from her apron pocket. Checks the file. 3 hours and 26 minutes. Every word is captured. Crystal clear audio. She connects it to her phone. Downloads the file to encrypted cloud storage. Today's recording joins 92 others. 3 months of evidence backed up in 3 locations. Her phone buzzes. Derek's text. "I saw everything. Meet me at the car. It's time." She types back. 5 minutes. Securing final documentation. The door opens. Miguel walks in. The head chef, 41 years old, 3 kids at home, 9 years at Belmont's. "Mija!" His voice cracks. "I'm so sorry, that was wrong." Elena looks at him. "Will you testify if it comes to that?" Miguel glances at the door. His jaw works. "I have 3 kids. Carlos needs braces. Maria's in college. I understand. But if you really need me..." He takes a breath. "What he did tonight, I'll testify. I'll do it." Elena nods. "Thank you, Miguel." He leaves. Jennifer walks in next. White, 24, 2 years at Belmont's. "Elena, I feel terrible, but you did let that order sit kind of long. The order was in at 6:52. The kitchen was backed up. You saw it." "I know, but Richard's been here 15 years. Maybe restaurant work just isn't for everyone." Elena closes her locker, picks up her cardboard box. "You're right, it's not." She walks toward the back exit. Richard is waiting there, arms crossed, blocking her path. Return that uniform tomorrow. $45. I'll deduct it from your final check. Elena stops, says nothing. And don't expect a reference. I'll make sure everyone knows why you were fired. Incompetence, bad attitude, poor work ethic. Still silent. Richard steps closer. You know your real problem? You people always play the victim. Always the race card when you can't do the job. He shakes his head. We gave you a chance. You proved me right about hiring your kind. The recording device captures every word. Elena shifts the box. Her voice stays calm, pleasant even. Thank you for clarifying that, Mr. Caldwell. Have a good evening. She steps around him, walks out into the night. Richard frowns. Something about her tone bothers him. That calmness, that certainty. Why isn't she crying? Why isn't she begging? He shakes it off, returns to the dining room. The parking lot is half empty. Elena walks between cars, sees the Aston Martin, midnight blue. Derek leans against it. She reaches him, steps into his arms, the box between them. You okay? He asks. I got everything. Audio clear. Timestamps are accurate. Witness list complete. He pulls back, looks at the dried sauce on her face, the cut on her hand. The mission was to assess culture, not to endure assault. I know, but now we have something bigger. She meets his eyes. A case that can change things. Derek cups her face. Then let's build it. They drive in silence. Derek's phone rings through the speakers. Derek Washington. Mr. Washington, Thomas Carter from Thompson and Associates. I need your firm. Employment discrimination, assault and battery, civil rights violations. I'm sending documentation tonight. How much documentation? 6 months, daily recordings, 47 discriminatory incidents, 23 labor violations, multiple witnesses. Silence. Then, that's extensive. When did the assault occur? 2 hours ago, I witnessed it. I have a video. So do 15 other people. Mr. Washington, I've practiced employment law for 23 years. I've never seen a case like this documented before it reached my desk. That's because my wife is very good at her job. Midnight. Derek's home office. Windows overlook the financial district. Elena sits at his desk. 3 monitors display 6 months of work. Audio files labeled by date. Video footage from 5 angles. Written logs in her precise handwriting. Derek paces. Phone to his ear. Nathaniel, it's Derek Washington. Sorry to call late. Nathaniel Pierce, CEO of Meridian Hospitality. He sounds confused. Derek? Our meeting's tomorrow. It still is. But we need to talk about Belmont's. I'm invoking my right as lead investor. Emergency board meeting. 72 hours. What's going on? I need Richard Caldwell there, your general manager. Tell him it's mandatory. Richard? Why? Trust me. You'll want him in that room. Derek hangs up, makes another call, then another. His PR director, his attorney, his investigator. Each conversation is short, precise, strategic. Elena watches him build the case. This is why she married him. Not the money, the way he fights. 2 a.m. They sit together on the leather couch. Board meeting is Thursday, Derek says. 48 hours. Will he come? He'll come. I think it's routine. Maybe a slap on the wrist. Sensitivity training. He has no idea. None. About me. About you. About 3 months of documentation. Elena closes her eyes. Miguel said he'd testify. That's brave. Everyone there risks everything just showing up to work. That's what Richard doesn't understand. They're not incompetent. They're terrified. Wednesday morning. Richard wakes up feeling good. He fired that girl. The one who couldn't do her job. Made him look bad in front of the Morrisons. He has a radio interview this morning. Local station. Maintaining standards in fine dining. Perfect timing, 9 a.m. Radio studio. The host leans forward. Mr. Caldwell, there's a video circulating. A server being fired. Some say it's discriminatory. Your response? Richard smiles. This generation expects participation trophies. At Belmont's, you earn your place. We have standards. When standards aren't met, we take action. The video shows you throwing a plate near her head. I threw a plate at a wall. To illustrate a point about excellence. If she felt targeted, that's about her sensitivity. Some say this was racially motivated. Richard's smile tightens. And there it is, the race card. Every time someone underperforms, suddenly it's discrimination. I judge on competence, not color. The interview goes viral by noon. Comments split evenly. Half support him. Finally, someone says it. Standards matter. Half are furious. He threw a plate at her. Listen to how he talks. By 2 p.m., Richard has 300 new followers. Messages thanking him for standing firm. The Morrisons call to express support. He sits in his office feeling vindicated. His phone rings. Meridian Corporate. Richard Nathaniel Pierce, I need you at headquarters tomorrow, 10 a.m., board meeting. Richard's confidence surges. Of course. I'll prepare a statement. Just be there. Should I bring anything? No. We have everything we need. The line goes dead. Richard leans back, smiles. They want him there to support him, show unified leadership, maybe even a raise. He doesn't know Derek Washington exists. He doesn't know Elena has an MBA in organizational psychology. He doesn't know about 6 months of documentation. He doesn't know about 47 recorded incidents. He doesn't know 15 lawyers are reviewing his every action. He thinks he's won. He thinks he's untouchable. Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Richard Caldwell will walk into that boardroom expecting vindication. What he'll get is the reckoning he's built toward for 15 years. Every insult, every slur, every microaggression, all about to come due. Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Meridian Hospitality Group Headquarters, 34th floor. Corner conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. The boardroom table is solid mahogany. 12 leather chairs. A presentation screen covers one wall. 8 board members sit waiting. Nathaniel Pierce at the head. Legal counsel on his right. All in expensive suits. All watching the door. Derek Washington sits 3 seats down. Charcoal suit. Navy tie. His face shows nothing. His leather portfolio sits closed in front of him. The door opens. Richard Caldwell walks in. He's wearing his best suit. Hair perfectly styled. Confidence radiating from every step. He's prepared a statement. Practiced it in the mirror this morning. He glances around the table. Recognizes most faces. Stops when he sees Derek. A black man. Well-dressed, looking at him with steady eyes. Richard doesn't recognize him. Why would he? Black customers all look the same to men like Richard, especially ones he only glanced at once from across a dining room. Gentlemen, Richard says, thank you for this opportunity to address the recent... Sit down, Richard. Nathaniel's voice is flat. Cold. Richard sits. His smile falters slightly. Nathaniel looks at Derek. Mr. Washington, you called this meeting. The floor is yours. Derek stands, walks to the front of the room, picks up the remote for the presentation screen. Richard watches, confused. Who is this guy? Mr. Caldwell. Derek's voice is quiet, controlled. Do you know everyone in this room? Richard glances around again. Pauses on Derek. I don't believe we've met. We actually have. Derek's smile is cold. Saturday night, table 19. I had the salmon. It was excellent. Richard's face goes blank. Face. Saturday? Table 19? He tries to remember. A black man in the corner. Alone. Quiet. I don't... You wouldn't remember. You were busy. Derek clicks the remote. The screen lights up. Throwing a plate at my wife. Silence. Complete silence. Richard's face drains of color. Your wife? Elena Washington. Derek walks closer to the table. But let me properly introduce myself. Derek Washington, CEO, Washington Capital Management. Recognition dawns in Richard's eyes. Washington Capital. The investor. The lead investor. You're the one who... 35% stake in this company. The reason this meeting is happening. Derek stops directly across from Richard. But here's what you really need to know. He clicks the remote. A photo appears. Elena in her Belmont's uniform. Smiling. Professional headshot. Elena didn't come to Belmont's to be a waitress. Another click. Elena's credentials appear. MBA. Organizational psychology. Former HR consultant. Expert in workplace culture assessment. She came to answer a question. Derek's eyes never leave Richard's face. Should I invest $85 million in your company? Richard's mouth opens. Nothing comes out. This is my due diligence process. Culture first investing. Derek clicks through slides, charts, graphs, research papers. Before I invest, I need to know how companies treat their most vulnerable employees, not their executives, not their managers, the people making minimum wage. He clicks again. A timeline appears, 187 days marked. That's why my wife spent 6 months working at your restaurant. She was spying? Richard's voice cracks. She was assessing. Derek clicks the remote rapidly now. And here's what she found. The screen fills with data. Audio file icons, 47 of them, each labeled with a date and time. 47 recorded instances of discriminatory language. Click. Video thumbnails appear. Multiple angles of you throwing a plate at her head. Click. Pages of handwritten notes. Daily documentation. Every incident, every witness, every timestamp. Click. A comparison chart. Turnover rates for black employees versus white employees. 400% higher. Click. Written testimonies. 12 current and former employees, all people of color, all with identical stories. Click. A list of violations. 23 documented labor law violations. Richard is gripping the armrests of his chair, his knuckles white. Derek sets down the remote, leans forward, both hands on the table. You threw a plate at my wife. You called her these people. You said she proved you right about hiring her kind. His voice drops lower, harder. And you know what the worst part is, Richard? Silence. If I had known she was what? Derek's eyes burn into him. My wife? An educated professional? Someone with power? Richard tries to speak. Derek cuts him off. The problem isn't what you didn't know. The problem is you treated her that way because of what you thought you knew. He straightens up. You saw a black woman and assumed she was beneath you. Richard finally finds his voice. Desperate. This is entrapment. This is illegal. If I had known... Exactly. Derek picks up his portfolio, opens it, pulls out a thick document, slides it across the table to Nathaniel. If you had known. But you didn't. So you showed us exactly who you are. He walks back to his seat, sits down, crosses his arms. Elena interviewed 12 employees, all with the same stories. This isn't one incident. This is a pattern, a culture, a system. Nathaniel opens the document, flips through pages. His face hardens with each one. Derek looks at Richard. And today, it ends. Richard stands suddenly. His chair scrapes back. You can't do this. I've been here 15 years. I have rights. I know people. The Morrisons will vouch for me. I'll sue. Sit down, Richard. Nathaniel's voice cuts through the room like a blade. Richard sits. His hands shake. Nathaniel closes the document, looks at his legal counsel. They whisper briefly. The lawyer nods. Nathaniel stands. Richard Caldwell, based on the evidence presented, effective immediately, you are terminated for cause. Richard's face crumbles. Please. I have a mortgage. My kids are in college. Elena has student loans. Derek's voice is ice. Miguel has 3 kids. Jennifer has medical bills. They all had families to support. He leans forward. While you had the power to hurt them, and you used it, every single day. Nathaniel Pierce stands at the head of the table. His voice is formal, legal, final. Richard Caldwell, you are terminated for cause effective immediately. 0 severance. All stock options forfeited. Security will escort you from the building. Richard's face is white. Nathaniel, please. 15 years. You know me. We play golf? We played golf. Nathaniel's tone doesn't soften. That ended the moment you threw a plate at an employee. The legal counsel speaks next. Mr. Caldwell, Meridian Hospitality Group will cooperate fully with any criminal investigation. We will not fight subpoenas. We will not provide legal defense. Richard turns to the other board members, looking for an ally. Any ally. They all look away. This is because of money, isn't it? Richard's voice rises. Because he threatened to pull his investment. You're throwing me away to protect a deal. Derek stands, walks around the table, stops directly in front of Richard. I'm pulling my investment either way. $85 million. Gone. He lets that sink in. The question is whether Meridian transforms or collapses. That's up to them now. Richard stares at him. You're destroying my life over one mistake. One mistake? Derek pulls out his phone, scrolls, reads. March 15th. You told Elena her hair looked unprofessional. April 3rd. You assigned her only back section tables. April 27th. You said she should smile more, be friendlier. May 9th. Stop. Richard's voice breaks. May 9th. You told her people like her should be grateful for any job. June 2nd. I said stop. Derek pockets his phone. 47 incidents. That's not one mistake. That's who you are. 2 security guards appear at the door. Nathaniel nods to them. Mr. Caldwell needs to collect his personal items and leave the building. Richard stands on shaking legs, looks at Derek one more time. I'll sue. Wrongful termination. Defamation. I'll take everything from you. Derek's expression doesn't change. Try. My lawyers would love the practice. The security guards move forward. Richard holds up his hands. I can walk myself out. He straightens his tie, tries to salvage some dignity. Fails. This isn't over. Yes, Derek says quietly. It is. They escort Richard out. The door closes. The room exhales. Nathaniel sits down heavily. Mr. Washington, I apologize. On behalf of Meridian, Don't apologize to me. Derek's voice cuts sharp. Apologize to Elena, to Miguel, to every person who worked under him and suffered in silence. We will. Publicly. Nathaniel looks at his legal team. Draft a statement. I want it released within 2 hours. Derek sits back down, opens his portfolio. Here are my terms. Meridian has 90 days to prove comprehensive cultural transformation. Independent diversity audit. Anonymous reporting system. Bias training for all managers. Restitution fund for affected employees. He slides a document across the table. Meet these standards, my investment stands. Fail, I pull all current holdings and recommend public divestment. Nathaniel reads quickly. His hand tightens on the paper. These requirements will cost millions. Discrimination lawsuits will cost more. Derek leans back. Choose. 2 hours later. Meridian headquarters. Press conference room packed with reporters. Cameras. Microphones. Nathaniel Pierce stands at a podium. Derek and Elena flank him on either side. Elena has changed clothes. Professional dress. Hair pulled back. The cut on her hand bandaged. She stands straight. Dignified. Camera flashes pop like strobe lights. Nathaniel reads from a prepared statement. Meridian Hospitality Group unequivocally condemns the actions of former manager Richard Caldwell. We have zero tolerance for discrimination in any form. He pauses, looks directly at the cameras. We failed Elena Washington. We failed every employee who worked under hostile conditions. That failure ends today. More flashes. Reporters shout questions. Nathaniel continues. Effective immediately, we are implementing company-wide reforms, independent diversity task force, mandatory bias training, anonymous reporting hotline. These changes begin now. He steps aside, nods to Derek. Derek approaches the microphone. His voice carries authority without volume. 3 months ago, I sent my wife into Belmont's to evaluate whether Meridian deserved our investment. What she found made that investment impossible. He glances at Elena. She nods. But more importantly, she found dozens of workers suffering in silence, people afraid to speak up, afraid of retaliation, afraid of losing their jobs. Derek looks back at the cameras. Today's action isn't about one manager, it's about accountability. A reporter shouts, "Will you still invest?" Meridian has 90 days to prove transformation. If they succeed, yes. If they fail, I walk, and I'll encourage other investors to do the same. Another reporter. What about criminal charges? The district attorney received our evidence this morning. That decision is theirs. Derek steps back. Elena steps forward. The room quiets. Everyone wants to hear from her. For 6 months, Elena begins, her voice steady, I experienced what millions of service workers face daily. Discrimination, humiliation, fear. She looks directly into the cameras. I had privilege. I knew I could leave any time. Most workers don't. She pauses. This isn't about me. It's about every person told they don't belong because of skin color. Her voice strengthens. To everyone watching who's experienced this, document everything, report it, speak up. You deserve dignity. The room erupts with questions. Derek and Elena walk off stage together, side by side, equal partners. Outside, police cars pull up to Richard Caldwell's home. The district attorney has filed charges: assault and battery, civil rights violations, criminal intimidation. Richard opens his door in sweatpants, still processing his termination, still in shock. He sees the badges, the handcuffs. Richard Caldwell, you're under arrest. They read him his rights. His neighbors watch from their lawns. Someone records on their phone. The video will be online within an hour. By evening, #JusticeForElena was trending #1 nationwide, 2 weeks after the arrest. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission opens a federal investigation. Not just Belmont's, the entire Meridian Hospitality Group. 47 restaurants across 12 states. Every HR file, every complaint, every termination is reviewed. The lead investigator is Dr. Sarah Carter, EEOC for 19 years. She opens Elena's documentation. Her hands pause. This is the most thorough evidence package I've ever received. She looks at her team. We have everything. The subpoenas go out. Meridian's legal team finds more. Black workers fired at 4 times the rate of white workers. Pay disparities. Promotion patterns excluding people of color. Within a week, 23 former employees contact EEOC, all with similar stories. all inspired by Elena. Miguel is one of them. He sits across from Dr. Carter. I watched him do it for 9 years, not just to Elena, to everyone. His voice shakes. I was a coward. You're here now. That takes courage. Elena showed me silence is its own kind of violence. 3 weeks after the incident, Elena files her civil lawsuit, Thompson and Associates, $5 million in damages. Defendants, Richard Caldwell personally, and Meridian Hospitality Group. The complaint is 47 pages. Every incident is documented, every witness listed. Meridian's lawyers call an emergency meeting. Their lead counsel is blunt. We settle, immediately. Why? We have defenses? No, we don't. She has 6 months of audio, multiple videos, 12 witnesses. A first-year law student could win this. Meanwhile, Richard's criminal trial is fast-tracked. The prosecutor is Assistant DA Marcus Williams, black, 42 years old. He's been waiting for a case this airtight. 8 weeks after the arrest, County Superior Court. Judge Maria Rodriguez presiding. Yes. The courtroom was packed. National media, civil rights organizations. Elena sits in front, Derek beside her. Navy suit, hands folded. Calm. Richard sits at the defense table. His attorney is expensive, but can't fix bad facts. Day 2. Elena takes the stand. Marcus Williams approaches. Ms. Washington, why were you working at Belmont's? My husband is an investor. Before investing $85 million, he wanted to know the company's real culture. I conducted a professional assessment. 6 months of documentation. What did you find? Elena looks at the jury. A pattern of racial discrimination so pervasive that employees of color had 400% higher turnover. A manager who used power to humiliate and control. Marcus plays the audio. 47 clips. The jury listens. 2 women cry quietly. Richard's voice fills the courtroom. These people. You're kind. You should be grateful. Then the video, the plate, the explosion, the sauce. Elena shaking. One juror covers her mouth. Marcus lets the silence sit. Ms. Washington, when that plate came at you, what did you think? I thought he might actually hit me. And I realized this is what so many endure every day, with no protection. No further questions. Richard's lawyer tries cross-examination, paints Elena as a spy. You hid your identity, didn't you? I worked under my real name, Elena Washington. I never lied. But you didn't tell anyone your husband was rich. Would that have changed how Mr. Caldwell treated me? Should wealth determine basic respect? The lawyer has no answer. Day 3. Miguel testifies. Voice shaking. I watched him abuse her for months. I did nothing. I'll regret that forever. He looks at Richard. But I'm here now. 3 former black employees testify. Identical stories. Same slurs, same microaggressions, same fear. Richard's attorney calls the Morrisons. It backfires. Mrs. Morrison, you were there that night? Yes. The service was subpar. We expect certain standards. What do you mean by standards? Patricia hesitates. Well, you know, professional behavior. Marcus Williams stands for redirect. Mrs. Morrison, had you ever complained about white servers? That's not... Yes or no? No, but no further questions. The jury sees it. The complicity. The racism hiding behind words like standards. Day 5. Expert witnesses. Dr. Patricia Henderson, clinical psychologist. Ms. Washington exhibits clear PTSD symptoms, hypervigilance, intrusive memories, consistent with sustained psychological abuse. An economic expert calculates damages, lost wages, therapy, career impact. Day 6. Richard takes the stand. His lawyer advises against it. He insists. Disaster. Marcus circles. Mr. Caldwell, you said these people. What did you mean? I meant employees who don't meet standards. Not black people? No, of course not. Marcus plays the audio again. Still think you meant employees? Richard's face reddens. It was a figure of speech. A figure of speech you only use about black employees? I didn't say that. You said Elena proved you right about hiring her kind. What kind? I meant people who... Black people, Mr. Caldwell? No. But his voice says yes. His face says yes. The jury sees it. Marcus leans on the witness box. Do you feel any remorse? It was heat of the moment. That's not what I asked. Remorse. Do you feel it? Richard hesitates too long. I regret that the situation escalated. That's not remorse. That's blame shifting. Marcus plays the video again. The plate is flying. Elena flinching. No further questions. The jury deliberates for 3.5 hours. Elena sits in the hallway. Derek holds her hand. She's shaking. What if they don't? They will. The bailiff appears. Jury's back. The forewoman is a black woman, 60, a teacher. She looks at Richard. On the count of assault and battery, we find the defendant guilty. Elena's breath catches. On the count of civil rights violations, guilty. On the count of criminal intimidation, guilty. The courtroom erupts. Elena collapses into Derek's arms, sobbing from relief, from vindication, from weightlifting. Richard sits frozen. His lawyer whispers. He doesn't respond. 2 weeks later. Sentencing. The courtroom is even more packed. Judge Rodriguez looks at Richard for a long moment. Mr. Caldwell, I have reviewed extensive evidence, not one incident, but a pattern revealing profound disregard for human dignity. Her voice carries barely contained anger. You showed no remorse. You blamed the victim. You blamed everyone but yourself. She reads the sentence. 18 months incarceration, 5 years probation, 800 hours of community service with racial justice organizations, mandatory bias training, permanent prohibition from management positions in hospitality, $75,000 restitution. She looks at him directly. You had power. You abused it. Now you face consequences. Deputies approach, handcuff him, lead him away, crying. Elena watches, feels no satisfaction, just quiet certainty that justice has arrived. That evening, Meridian's lawyers call. Settlement offer, $3.2 million, public apology, full company reforms, $10 million diversity fund, independent monitoring 5 years. Elena reads it carefully. Accept it. This was never about money. It was about change. The settlement is announced the next day, along with Derek's commitment. $50 million for Dignity and Service Initiative, legal aid for victims, scholarships for workers, industry-wide training. Within a week, 12 restaurant groups announce policy reviews. 3 state legislatures introduce Elena's Law. The ripple effect spreads. One woman's courage, one man's support, one case that changed an industry. 6 months later. Morning light streams through classroom windows. Elena Washington sits in the front row. White scrubs, stethoscope around her neck. Nursing textbook open. The professor discusses pediatric care. Elena takes notes, focused, precise. She's in the top 5% of her class. On track to graduate with honors, her dream since childhood. Between classes, her phone rings. Miguel. Elena, you need to see this. He sends a photo. Belmont's restaurant. The sign reads, Belmont's Reimagined. New management. Diverse leadership. Miguel is executive chef and part owner through the Worker Equity Program. 60% of the staff are people of color. Equal pay. Full benefits. Profit sharing. Revenue up 30%. Turns out respect is good for business. Inside, a plaque hangs. Elena's photo. In honor of Elena Washington and all who stood up. Dignity, respect, justice. Elena stares at the photo. Tears blur her vision. You changed everything, Miguel texts. For all of us. That afternoon, Elena visits the Washington Initiative for Workplace Dignity. Downtown office, glass doors, 20 staff members. Derek hired professionals to run it. Elena guides the mission. Review every case. In 6 months, they've helped 300 workers, secured $8.4 million in settlements, trained 2,000 managers, 12 criminal convictions, 67 companies implemented new policies. Elena walks past a conference room. Inside, a young Latina woman meets with a lawyer, crying, telling her story, getting help. Elena remembers that feeling, being heard, being believed. She doesn't interrupt, just watches, then moves on. That evening, Elena speaks at the National Labor Rights Conference. 500 people in the ballroom, service workers, advocates, students. She walks on stage, standing ovation before she speaks. She waits, then begins. 6 months ago, a man threw a plate at my head. He did it because he thought I was powerless, because he thought my black skin meant I didn't matter. Silence. He was wrong, but I had privilege, a safety net, a husband with resources. Her voice drops. Most workers don't. They endure abuse because they need to survive. She steps closer to the edge. That's why this fight isn't over. Not for me. For everyone who comes after. Her voice strengthens. Every person has inherent dignity. Not earned. Not granted. Inherent. No one can take it away. She looks directly at the audience. When you see injustice, document it. Every word, every action. Report it. To HR, to EEOC, to us. Her hand touches her heart. Fight. Because you deserve dignity. Because silence protects perpetrators. The room erupts. 3 minutes of applause. People are crying, standing. Derek sits in the front row, recording, pride across his face. They walk out together, hand in hand, equal partners. The voiceover returns. The narrator from the opening. Elena's story ended with justice. But thousands of others are still fighting. Still hoping. If this story moved you, don't just watch. Act. Share this video. Let others know they're not alone. Comment below. Have you witnessed workplace discrimination? Subscribe for more stories of justice served. Hit the notification bell. These stories need to be told. The screen fades to text. If you were in that restaurant that night, what would you have done? Would you have recorded? Would you have spoken up? Would you have stayed silent? The next time you witness injustice, will you be a bystander or will you be the change? The choice is yours. Resources appear on screen. EEOC. EEOC.gov. Worker Rights. Hotline 1-800-XXX-XXXXX. Washington Initiative. WashingtonDignity.org. Legal aid. Mental health resources. Support networks. Final text appears. Justice delayed is not justice denied. Keep fighting. Keep documenting. Keep believing. Change is possible. The screen goes black. Somewhere in America, a worker opens their phone, searches EEOC, starts typing their complaint. Somewhere, a manager thinks twice. Before raising their voice, before abusing power. Somewhere, courage builds, documentation accumulates, cases form. Elena's story isn't unique, but her victory is. And every victory makes the next one easier. Richard Caldwell sits in county jail. 18 months to serve. Every day a reminder that actions have consequences. Elena Washington sits in nursing class, builds a foundation, changes in an industry. 2 lives, 2 paths, 1 moment that divided them. The plate Richard threw didn't just shatter against a wall, it shattered the illusion that power protects cruelty. It shattered the silence that shields discrimination. It shattered the system that lets abuse continue. And from those shattered pieces, something new was built. Dignity, respect, justice. Not just for Elena, for everyone.